let's talk about two of the biggest forces shaping our world right now: artificial intelligence and climate change. When they intersect, it's complicated. It's a relationship packed with incredible promise, but also some serious peril. You could even call it a double-edged sword that could either help save us or, well, dig us into a deeper hole.
So, to really get what's at stake here, you have to understand this idea of a polycrisis. It's a term Professor David Tyndall uses, and it basically means we're not just dealing with one big problem. Nope, we're caught in this messy web of interconnected crises. Climate change, rampant disinformation, the disruption of AI, all happening at once and all making each other worse. And that's why when you look at AI's role in all this, it's not just a simple case of good or bad. It's more like a triple-edged sword. Seriously, one edge is the massive environmental harm that tech itself can cause. Another edge is its scary power to spread misinformation about climate change. But then there's the third edge, the one that gives us hope. Its incredible potential to come up with powerful climate solutions. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into what this polycrisis really looks like. Then we'll ask the big question: could AI be our climate savior? But right after that, we have to look at its hidden environmental cost. From there, we'll explore a new way of thinking called smarter than the storm. And finally, we'll see how we might just be able to forge a virtuous cycle for climate-positive AI.
You know, something's really shifted in the conversation lately, especially at big climate talks. People are finally connecting the dots between climate disruption, the spread of disinformation, and the rise of AI. It's a tangled mess, right? AI can be used to create and spread climate myths, but it can also be the very tool we use to fight them. Understanding this push and pull is absolutely key.
So let's start with the good stuff, the promise. Can AI really be a hero in the fight against climate change? The short answer is a big yes. And in a lot of ways, it already is. The people who champion this believe AI gives us these incredible tools to cut through the noise and complexity and actually build a more resilient world. And we're not talking about some far-off science fiction here. This stuff is happening right now. AI is helping us track emissions with unbelievable accuracy. It's making our energy grid smarter so they can handle more renewables. It's helping farmers be way more efficient. And it's even getting better at predicting climate disasters before they hit. Want a concrete example? Check out Al Gore's Climate Trace Coalition. This is so cool. They use AI and a ton of satellite images to create this live global map of greenhouse gas emissions, all the way down to a single factory or power plant. That kind of radical transparency is a game changer for holding polluters accountable. And it's not just about stopping the bad stuff from happening, it's also about dealing with the climate change that's already here. AI is becoming this powerful tool for adaptation. It can help predict where floods will hit, forecast the terrifying path of wildfires, and even identify which communities are most at risk, giving us a chance to prepare and save lives.
Okay, but this is where the story takes a sharp turn. Because for all its amazing potential, AI has a pretty big, dirty secret. It has its own massive and growing environmental footprint. This is the dark side of the coin, the peril that comes with all this progress. Okay, so get this. Training just one single large AI model can release as much carbon as 5 cars over their entire lifetimes. That is a lot. And the giant data centers that power all this AI, they drink up enormous amounts of fresh water just to stay cool. And that's not even mentioning the environmental damage from mining all the rare minerals needed to build the hardware in the first place. The cost is staggering. So this brings us right to the heart of the matter, the core question. When you put it all on the scale, the good versus the bad, the amazing climate solutions versus the pollution it creates, is AI actually a net positive or a net negative for our planet? The answer might just lie in a whole new way of thinking, a framework that's designed to navigate exactly this kind of tricky problem. It's a concept that was born out of a real disaster, and it's all about building resilience, not just with tech, but with strategy and a bit of foresight. So this phrase, smarter than the storm, it actually has a really powerful origin story. It first popped up back in 2013 after Superstorm Sandy just devastated New Jersey. The idea wasn't just to rebuild everything exactly as it was. No, the goal was to rebuild it stronger, smarter, and more resilient to the next storm. It's this powerful idea about actually learning from a crisis. And that's exactly what this new book by Amitabh Kant and Siddharth Sinha does. It takes that very same principle and applies it to our modern challenge with AI and climate change. They argue that we need a strategic, forward-thinking approach if we're going to make sure the benefits of AI actually end up outweighing the costs.
All right, so this brings us to the playbook. How do we actually do this? Instead of getting stuck in a vicious cycle where AI's pollution makes the climate crisis worse, the book lays out a roadmap for creating a virtuous cycle, one where technology and sustainability actually help each other grow stronger. It basically boils down to 3 huge steps. First, we need to build green data centers that are actually good for the local communities they're in. Second, we need to develop open AI models that aren't just controlled by a few giant tech companies, so that anyone can innovate. And third, we need to build a public data infrastructure. Think of it like a massive digital library to make crucial climate data accessible to everybody. And the goal here is massive. It's about so much more than just making AI a little bit greener. It's about changing who controls this technology and who gets to benefit from it. It's about putting these powerful tools into the hands of communities and innovators all over the world so we can build a climate response that's more effective and more equitable. And this quote from the book just nails it. The ultimate vision is transforming vicious cycles into virtuous ones, and the climate crisis into a collective opportunity. It's about turning this massive threat into a chance to build something better. Which leaves us with one final and really critical question. The tools are here, the ideas are on the table, but the real challenge is about our collective will, our foresight. Can we steer this incredibly powerful technology with enough wisdom and responsibility to actually be smarter than the storm?